The wintertime at Sequoyah was interesting because we had the dam, the water coming over the dam would freeze and make great big long icicles all the way from the top down to the ground. And my brother Bill loved to break off those big icicles, and they were like swords, and he enjoyed breaking them off and bringing them down to the house. And sometimes we even used ice to make ice cream in a churn, from the ice from the dam, and especially when we couldn't go to school. For me, in the dining hall, and I guess for my brother Bill too, we would push all the tables over to one side um, in the dining room, and I would skate. I used it as a skating rink, and then we had made a little basket for basketball at one end too, and so it became a play area for us. Bill and I played with the sled a lot because we would ride the sled all the way from the dining hall down the lawn to our house, and that was a good little place to ride. Um, and my older brother Harold was in Alaska when I was a teenager, and he sent me a pair of ice skates with the shoe on it. Before that, Dad bought us ice skates that had to be clamped onto our shoes. And that's what I started out trying to learn to ice skate on, but they were hard to use. So when I got the shoe skates, I learned how to ice skate better. We skated where the new pool was built over on the side, which is where they taught boys how to swim later. And before that pool was built about 1945. They had to rebuild the dam, and then they built that swimming pool. And before that, I would get on the lake. We had to be sure the ice was thick enough, of course. And sometimes back in those days, it did get very thick. And I would play on the big ice, the big lake part. But later, I would ice skate over on the pool. We did not have any heat in the house for years, except for the fireplace in the living room. So we always dressed by the fire, and the fire was our source of heat mostly. And then the kitchen had a little tiny wood stove. I remember it was my job to bring in the stove wood for that stove. And I can remember in the wintertime it was so cold we didn't want to take a bath except about once a week. Every Saturday night or once a week. Oh, those were the days I can remember counting how many blankets were on my bed one night. I had 9 blankets on my bed. I could hardly turn over. And Mother would, when we were young enough, she would hold a blanket up by the fireplace to get the blanket warm, and then she would wrap my legs up in it when she put me in bed. And then the kitchen had a little tiny wood stove. I remember it was my job to bring in the stove wood for that stove. A cook stove? No, it was not a cook stove. It was about this big, about that high, just for heat. It was to heat the kitchen. And then behind the kitchen was what we called the pantry, and it stayed cold. And we wanted it cold because we could keep food there. I think when I was maybe 10, they got little gas heaters, little Powerfax gas heaters they put in some of the bedrooms. And we didn't have a furnace, I think, until I was a senior in high school or in college. And finally, when they closed in the downstairs and made a basement there, we finally got a furnace. When I was real young, we had a wood stove to cook on, old-fashioned wood stove. And then finally my mother got an electric stove. So Mother really did live like a pioneer for a long time.